like the new song?
No, but you know.
You don't like Ace Trumpets?
What's so great about it?
It's so good.
My son can't tell you one Nas record. You heard? Like, let's keep it a buck here.
Jim Jones really just woke up and chose chaos. Not one, not two, but 3 certified hip-hop heavyweights caught strays from him. Nas, Pusha T, and No Malice. And now, he's finding out the hard way that some names come with consequences. What he thought was just regular barbershop talk. Nah, that turned into a full-blown storm that's got the whole rap game watching him spiral.
Pusha T or Malice?
To keep it a buck, I'm gonna go with Pusha T, so we're not gonna drink to them.
Slow and steady like a car crash in traffic. It all started when Jim threw shade at Nas, calling him irrelevant like that wasn't one of the greatest pens in the game. That one little comment, it lit a fuse he couldn't put out. And suddenly the whispers turned into sirens. Because he didn't just diss, he might have accidentally resurrected the whole Clipse movement from the shadows. That's right, Pusha T and No Malice caught wind. And next thing you know, lyrical shots are flying everywhere. And guess where the smoke reached? Paris Fashion Week. With Pharrell, Beyonce, and Jay-Z chilling in the front row like it was a movie premiere, watching the drama unfold. Right there, in the middle of all that fashion and fame, Jim Jones becomes the unintentional rollout for Clipse's big return.
To sear my conscience, like forget it. So when people say you found God, I did not find God. I was trying to party with the devil. Trust me, I was trying to go hard. God himself said, no, not you. He did not allow me to do it. And that's what I seen with my own eyes, whether anyone believes.
In Harlem, you could feel the air go dead silent when Jim opened his mouth and said, this son, they know about Nah, my son. Like what? This dude brought Nas's entire legacy to the cookout just to say nobody from the next gen is even vibing with it. Disrespect on a whole other level. But here's where it went off the rails. Jim didn't just talk slick and dip, nah. He laughed it off, then spun the block again. He kept popping up on The Breakfast Club, on Bag Fuel, on Nightcap with Shannon Sharp, and even random street interviews and live streams. Dude went on a full-blown media tour to stand on what he said. No backpedaling, just doubling, tripling, and quadrupling down like he had something to prove. At first, Jim tried to clean it up, saying he was just keeping it real as a fan when he dissed Nas. But then, he went even crazier. On Bag Fuel, he flipped the whole script and claimed he was the reason Nas was trending again. Like, seriously. Jim said nobody had been checking for Nas since Ether, and that he's the one who brought the spotlight back. On camera, this man actually said, Nas was never this viral. Ever. That's wild confidence for someone poking a living legend. But here's the thing, Jim clearly forgot who he was talking about. Nas ain't the type to jump online and bark back with tweets and diss tracks. He's the type to sit in a penthouse with billionaires, make silent moves, and let his bank account speak louder than words. While Jim kept clowning in interviews, Nas was laying bricks, quietly working on something huge behind the scenes. While Jim was setting imaginary beefs on fire for clicks, Nas was gearing up for one of the coldest flexes we've ever seen in hip-hop.
I'm way more influential than Nas, and I don't care what nobody say. I know I made a little boo-boo when you talk about the sales and all this type of shit. I don't feel like getting into that rhetoric about where I started and where he started.
Well, you said that bullshit.
But listen, Nas was nice when I was in high school. When I was in 10th grade, Nas came out. Nas was dope. We appreciated him. He had a little bit run.
Out of nowhere, Nas dropped an Instagram post. Not a diss, not a rant, an ad. But not just any ad. A $5 billion Queens casino development pitch. Just a smooth caption. Time to invest in us. That wasn't just business. That was Nas saying, I'm too wealthy to argue with you. No words needed, no energy wasted, just pure boss-level silence. And if that was the end of it, Jim might have still had room to recover. But nope, he took it even further. He came for Pusha T next, dragging his name through the mud and straight up saying, Pusha's not even top 50. Like, seriously? That's the hill Jim decided to die on? What Jim didn't see coming? This time, it wasn't just Pusha T tuned in. No Malice was listening too. And now the whole internet's asking, did Jim Jones just reunite Clipse with one reckless take? Let's rewind for a sec, because Clipse didn't just pop up out of nowhere.
Lives in the hands of the doers, the dreamers, the people who refuse to stand still. Resorts World is more than a casino. It's energy, it's opportunity, it's hope for the borough. A second chance for some, a first step for many. It's where community gathers, not just to win, but to build a future once imagined. This isn't just business, this is legacy. And now, it's time to invest in us.
For nearly 15 years, the Clipse had been silent, off the grid, doing their own thing. But here's the twist. Way before Jim ran his mouth, Pusha T had already dropped a low-key warning in Rolling Stone. He was plotting a comeback and trying to pull his brother back in. Pusha literally said, "I'm like, yo, listen to what I just made. We can really do this." But no Malice, he wasn't sold. He brushed me off, Pusha admitted. "If I had it my way, it would be the Clipse. It's really up to my brother." Then boom, Jim gave them the perfect excuse to lock back in. The reunion buzz started heating up at Pharrell's Something in the Water Festival in Virginia Beach back in 2022, where Clipse hit the stage together. A few months later, they were back at it at Complex Con, then Hyde Park Summerfest in Chicago, tearing through joints from Lord Willin' and Hell Hath No Fury. And no Malice, he didn't look rusty. He looked ready. But what happened after those shows? That's when the energy completely shifted. The Clipse were spotted in Paris, walking the Louis Vuitton runway, hand in hand with Pharrell, who had just been named creative director for LV's menswear line. Jay-Z and Beyonce sitting front row, locked in, while a brand new Clipse track blasted through the speakers mid-show. Track name, Question Must. It wasn't subtle. It wasn't vague. It was raw, razor sharp, and it had one clear target, Jim Jones. Pusha wasn't throwing shade. He was throwing darts, looking straight at Jim with every bar. But this wasn't just another diss. It was art. Delivered at Paris Fashion Week in front of culture's elite. And standing behind the whole moment, Pharrell. Fans started piecing it all together. Was this Pharrell's silent revenge? A slick power play from the LV boardroom to the runway? Could be. Especially since Jim had spent the past year publicly calling Drake the greatest of all time and throwing side eyes at everyone else. Pharrell might have just played the long game and checkmated him in front of the whole world. Jim made it crystal clear where he stood, lining himself up right alongside Pusha's biggest rival. In that Complex interview, he didn't bite his tongue. He showed exactly whose team he's on, no room for guessing. And just like that, Clipse came storming back, not with a press tour, not with some teaser single, but with a revenge anthem, dropped on one of the most iconic stages in culture, Paris Fashion Week. Jim probably thought he was just popping off at the mouth like usual, but no Malice and Pusha, they were using him as the perfect setup for their comeback play. Now everybody's asking, did Jim just hand No Malice the cleanest comeback moment in rap history? Or did he basically write his own career's goodbye letter without even realizing it? And let's not forget the mastermind in the background, Pharrell. This wasn't just some Clipse collab. Pharrell's not only the architect of their sound, he's family. He's the one who helped shape their whole identity. So when Jim decided to downplay Clipse's legacy, when he called them irrelevant and clowned their catalog in interviews, he wasn't just disrespecting Pusha. He was stepping on the whole Clipse dynasty. And here's the twist no one saw coming. No Malice. For over a decade, folks counted him out. The big brother who stepped away, found peace, chose his faith, and said he had no interest in rapping again. He was the quiet one, the one who left the streets behind while Pusha stayed locked in the trenches. So when his voice echoed through the speakers at that Paris Louis Vuitton show, it wasn't just unexpected, it sent chills. And let's break it down. No Malice wasn't throwing out random bars for hype. His lines were surgical. When he said, "Bird talk, we all parrots," that wasn't a cute punchline. That was a direct shot at Bird Gang. Jim's brand, his crew, his whole identity. And Paris, Dallas, those weren't random city drops. Those were exactly the cities Jim shouted out just days before in his Chains and Whips freestyle. No Malice wasn't just responding, he was tuned in. But that wasn't even the wildest part. Fans started realizing something bigger. No Malice wasn't rapping like some retired vet dusting off his pen for fun. He sounded like he'd been waiting for this exact moment to put egos in check. Suddenly, his return didn't feel like a bonus. It felt like a warning shot. And Jim, he gave him the perfect opening. Jim tried to brush it off. He posted himself laughing at Pusha's Paris verse on Instagram. But when he sat down with Nori on Drink Champs, the mask slipped. When Nori brought up the Clipse diss, Jim couldn't hide it anymore. He admitted it hit him. Right there, the cracks started to show. So what did Jim do? He ran to the booth and dropped his Chains and Whips freestyle. a direct clapback over the same beat Clipse used to come at him. But that wasn't enough to stop the spiral. Then came the BT Awards. Bootleg Kev caught him for a quick interview, and Jim did what he always tries. He acted unbothered. When asked about Clipse's new single Ace Trumpets, Jim didn't hold back. He tried to downplay it, said Clipse was just riding nostalgia, that their bars weren't hitting like that. But instead of looking like the confident vet he claims to be, Jim came off like a man unraveling live on camera. Because let's be real, what do you really do when the legends you disrespected come back harder than ever? And the world is watching you crumble? Once the backlash started gaining real power, Jim had two choices: double down or bow out. And of course, Jim picked the loudest option. Just when folks thought he couldn't possibly dig himself deeper, he grabbed a fresh shovel and went right back at it. This time, he hit up Nightcap with Shannon Sharp and let another wild rant fly. Jim claimed Nas was never really influential. Yep, you heard that right. Then he followed it up by saying Nas always came in second place to Jay-Z and DMX. And the punchline? He said, that's like saying Jordan fell off after Space Jam. No joke. He said that with a straight face. Delusional isn't even the word. But while Jim was out here chasing sound bites and controversy, Clipse was playing chess. They weren't making noise, they were moving smart. Suddenly, they dropped the full rollout for their reunion album, Let God Sort 'Em Out. If people thought Chains and Whips was the climax, that was just the warm-up. This wasn't just a comeback. It was a statement of dominance. The feature list? Stacked. We're talking Nas, Kendrick Lamar, Tyler, The Creator, The Dream, John Legend, and of course, Pharrell steering the whole thing as executive producer. But here's where it gets juicy. This album was supposed to come out through Def Jam, until the label allegedly tried to mute Kendrick's verse. A verse that, according to insiders, took aim at Drake, Travis Scott, and all the fake industry politics. Clipse wasn't having it. They walked from the deal immediately and took the whole project to Roc Nation instead. That move alone, it screamed power. This wasn't just a couple of rap vets making a return, this was Clipse stepping back into the game as major players, unfiltered and untouched. And the craziest part? Jim had the nerve to ask, who even got Pusha's back? They answered real quick. It's not just bars anymore. It's motion. Meetings are happening. Stadium tours are being planned. Videos are in production, and guess who's not on the guest list? Jim. It didn't happen in one night, but the shift is undeniable. Jim's not just getting dissed anymore, he's being quietly benched. Not blackballed, but faded out. And for someone who built a whole identity off volume and loyalty, that kind of silence hits harder than any verse Clipse could ever write. So when that Clipse x Nas collab finally drops, trust, it won't be a diss track, it'll be a burial. Jim can keep rapping, keep trolling, keep pretending it's all jokes and internet buzz, but behind the curtain, the power players are moving forward, and none of them are checking for him. So the question ain't, will Jim clap back? The real question is, will anybody even care if he does? He wanted to go viral. Now he's just vanishing. Like, share and subscribe to Juicy Scoop TV for more wild drops like this.